Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. Today, we're going to be taking a look at some long sealed secrets. You know those infamous assassinations, JFK, RFK, and
Oh,
MLK?
yeah.
The ones that have fueled countless documentaries and late night debates.
Right.
Well, President Trump just signed an executive order to release thousands of classified documents related to these very cases.
Wow. So what could be in
I
there?
know, right?
What's fascinating is that for decades, these cases have been shrouded in mystery and speculation, and let's be honest, some pretty wild conspiracy theories.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't love a good conspiracy
Yeah,
theory?
right.
But yeah, this isn't just about satisfying our inner detective. These assassinations were pivotal moments in American history.
Yeah.
So what might these documents reveal? Will they, confirm what we think we know, debunk long-held beliefs, or maybe spark even entirely new questions? That's what we're here to unpack today. We'll delve into the context of each assassination, explore the details of the executive order, and consider what this all means for our understanding of these pivotal events.
It's important to remember the impact each of these assassinations had on American society.
Mm.
These weren't just isolated tragedies, they were turning points that, fundamentally shifted the course of history. And they continue to resonate with us today.
Absolutely. Let's start with JFK, November 22nd, 1963 in Dallas. You have President Kennedy riding in an open motorcade, shots ring out, and chaos ensues. Lee Harvey Oswald is arrested, but before he can stand trial, he's shot and killed on live television by Jack Ruby.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
wild, crazy. A truly shocking series of events that left a nation reeling and grappling with a profound sense of loss and disbelief. The assassination of a young, charismatic president like JFK at the height of the Cold War, it shattered the sense of optimism and innocence that had defined that post-war era.
Yeah. Then you have 1968, a year marked by turmoil and social upheaval. In April, Martin Luther King Jr., the leading voice of the civil rights movement, is gunned down in Memphis. James Earl Ray is eventually convicted, but doubts and alternative theories persist.
And just 2 months later, Robert F. Kennedy, who was running for president and carrying the torch of social justice and reform, is assassinated after winning the California primary. Sirhan is convicted, but again, questions linger. These back-to-back assassinations felt like a devastating blow to the hope for progress and change.
It's like the nation experienced this collective trauma. And despite official investigations, the doubts and alternative theories, they just never went away. Which brings us to this executive order. What exactly does it mean to declassify documents, and what's the scope of this particular order?
So an executive order is essentially a directive issued by the president that has the force of law. In this case, Trump's order directs the Director of National Intelligence and the Attorney General to develop a plan for releasing all remaining classified documents related to the JFK, RFK, and MLK assassinations.
Okay, and they have some pretty tight deadlines to work with, right?
That's right. 15 days to figure out the release plan for the JFK files and 45 days for the RFK and MLK cases.
There's also a fascinating personal element to this. President Trump gave the pen that he used to sign the executive order to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., President Kennedy's nephew, and at the time his nominee for health secretary.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But it's worth noting that RFK Jr. has been publicly skeptical of the lone gunman theory in his uncle's assassination. He's even written a book challenging the official narrative. So there's a personal connection here that adds another layer of intrigue to the whole situation. Yeah. It definitely makes you wonder if RFK Jr.'s involvement played a role in Trump's decision to finally release these documents. But as you alluded to earlier, this isn't the first time this has come up. Other presidents have promised transparency, but ultimately withheld some information.
Right.
Why is that?
Well, the reasons given typically revolve around national security concerns. The argument is that releasing certain information could compromise intelligence sources and methods, putting lives at risk or damaging ongoing operations.
But that explanation hasn't stopped the conspiracy theories, has it? Many people believe the government is using national security as a cover-up, a way to hide potentially embarrassing or even incriminating information.
It's certainly a valid question.
Yeah.
When does legitimate national security truly end and a cover-up begin?
Right.
It's a debate that has raged for decades, particularly around these assassinations.
So what are the specifics of this executive order? How many documents are we talking about, and what kind of information do they contain?
So we're talking about thousands of documents, though it's important to note that millions of records related to these assassinations already exist in the public domain. This order focuses specifically on those remaining classified files, the ones that have never seen the light of day.
And these files cover not just the assassinations themselves, but also related events and investigations, right?
Exactly. Think of it as expanding the scope of inquiry. We're not just looking at the moment of each assassination, but also the events leading up to it and the aftermath, including any potential connections to other historical events.
And that's what makes this so intriguing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who knows what kind of connections might be revealed, what kind of dots might be connected that we never even considered before.
It's like those historical cold cases you see on TV where like a seemingly insignificant clue suddenly unlocks the whole mystery. We might find information about the key players, their motivations, the political climate at the time, or even the behind-the-scenes machinations that influence the course of events.
Okay, I have to interrupt because I just read something that really jumped out at me. Apparently, a significant portion of these unreleased JFK files originated from the CIA. What do you make of that?
That's a detail that has certainly fueled speculation. The CIA's involvement in various covert operations during the Cold War is well documented, so the fact that they hold so many of these classified JFK files is bound to raise eyebrows.
Yeah.
What's crucial to understand is that even seemingly minor details can hold significant weight.
Yeah.
They might connect to larger events, reveal hidden motives, or offer a new perspective on key players.
It's like finding a hidden footnote in a history book that leads you down a completely unexpected and fascinating path.
Precisely. You never know what you might find at the end of that path.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm already hooked. We'll be right back after a quick break to explore the potential impact of these documents and what they might reveal about these pivotal moments in American history. Stay tuned. All right, so we've set the stage. We've talked about the context of these assassinations, the enduring mysteries, and the executive order that's set to unlock thousands of previously classified documents. But what does this release really mean for us? For those of us who weren't there, who grew up hearing, different versions of these stories, piecing together our understanding from history books and documentaries.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it gets to the heart of why this executive order is so significant. It's an opportunity to revisit the past with fresh eyes, to potentially challenge the narratives we've come to accept, and maybe even fill in some of the gaps in our understanding.
It's like when you watch a movie for the second time and suddenly you notice all these little details you missed before, and it changes how you see the whole story.
Exactly. And these documents have the potential to do that for our understanding of these pivotal moments in history. They might confirm some of our assumptions, but they could also reveal information that completely changes our perspective.
Let's talk about the potential impact. If these documents do contain significant new information, how could that change our understanding of these assassinations?
Let's take the JFK assassination as an example. The lone gunman theory. The idea that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone has been the dominant narrative for decades. But what if these documents reveal evidence that challenges that theory? What if they point to a conspiracy to other individuals or groups who might have been involved?
That would be a bombshell, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
It would force us to rethink everything we thought we knew about that fateful day in Dallas.
it would. And it's not just about uncovering a conspiracy. These documents could also shed light on the motivations behind these assassinations. What were the political or social forces at play? Were there any foreign connections or influences that we haven't fully grasped?
It makes you realize that these events weren't just isolated incidents. They were part of a much larger tapestry of history, and understanding that tapestry is crucial to understanding the full impact of these tragedies.
Absolutely. And these documents, even if they don't reveal any earth-shattering secrets, could still provide valuable insights and nuances that help us reevaluate these events. They could offer a deeper understanding of the political climate at the time, the motivations of those involved, or even the behind-the-scenes machinations that influence the course of events.
It's like getting a backstage pass to history, a chance to see the inner workings, the whispers and shadows that shaped these pivotal moments.
I love that analogy. It really captures the essence of what these documents could offer.
Okay, let's be real. Not everyone is convinced this release is a good thing. Some people are skeptical of the timing, suggesting it's a political move by President Trump, maybe to distract from other issues or discredit past administrations. What do you say to those who are cynical about this?
Well, it's understandable that people might be cynical, especially given the current political climate. But regardless of the motivations behind it, this release is a victory for transparency and public access to information. It allows us to engage in a more informed and nuanced discussion about these events, which is essential for a healthy democracy.
I agree. Transparency in principle is something we should all strive for. It allows us to hold those in power accountable and to have a more complete understanding of our own history. But with all this focus on the potential for bombshells and conspiracies, is there a chance we might be setting ourselves up for disappointment? What if these documents don't reveal anything groundbreaking after all?
That's certainly a possibility. We need to manage expectations and remember that dramatic discoveries are rare. However, I think it's important to emphasize that even seemingly small details can be significant.
You're talking about those hidden footnotes again.
Exactly. A name mentioned in passing, a date that seems insignificant, a location that pops up repeatedly. These seemingly minor points could potentially unlock entirely new lines of inquiry.
It's like those puzzle pieces we talked about earlier. Sometimes it's the smallest piece that completes the picture and brings everything into focus.
Precisely. And who knows, maybe some of our listeners, with their fresh perspectives and unique insights, will spot those crucial pieces that even the experts miss. That's the beauty of opening up this information to the public. It allows for a collective process of discovery and interpretation.
Okay, I have one final question before we wrap things up.
Yeah.
If you could ask one question about these assassinations that you hope these documents might answer, what would it be?
That's a great question for me. It would be about the broader context. Were there any connections or influences that extended beyond the individuals who were directly involved in the assassinations? Were there larger forces at play, hidden agendas or motives that we haven't fully grasped?
That's a fascinating question. It makes you wonder about the ripple effects of these events and how they might have shaped the course of history in ways we haven't even considered. Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, from the context of these assassinations to the potential impact of this executive order. But the story doesn't end here. In fact, it's just beginning.
It is. And as these documents are released, it will be up to all of us as citizens and history enthusiasts to dig in, to analyze the information, and to continue to ask questions.
Because ultimately, history isn't just about the past. It's about understanding who we are, how we got here, and what choices we make for the future. So stay tuned as we dive into the third and final part of our exploration, where we'll discuss what to look for as these records are made public and how you can stay informed. Welcome back to our deep dive into the declassification of these, thousands of documents related to the assassinations of JFK, RFK, and MLK. We've explored the historical context, the lingering mysteries, and the potential impact of this, really unprecedented release. But now the question is, what happens next? What should our listeners be looking for as these documents are made public, and how can they stay informed?
Well, first and foremost, I encourage everyone to, follow reputable news sources and archival websites that will be tracking the release of these documents. There's bound to be a lot of noise and speculation.
Right.
So it's crucial to be discerning and critically evaluate the information that you encounter.
Don't just believe everything you read online.
Exactly. Look for sources that cite specific documents, provide context, and avoid, sensationalized headlines or interpretations that are pushing a particular agenda.
Yeah.
And remember, the release of these documents is likely to be a gradual process, not, a single massive data dump. So be patient and stay engaged over time as more information comes to light.
It's like a slow-burning mystery novel, right?
Yeah.
You get a clue here, a twist there, and the suspense builds as you try to piece it all together.
That's a great way to think about it. And as you delve into these documents, here are a few key things to keep in mind. First, pay attention to names, dates, locations, and any connections that are made to other events or individuals. Sometimes the most seemingly insignificant detail can be the key that unlocks a whole new understanding.
Those hidden footnotes.
Precisely. Also consider the source of each document. Who created it? What was their perspective or potential bias? Was it an official report, a memo between government officials, or something more personal like a diary entry or private correspondence?
It's like being a detective, isn't it? Examining the evidence, looking for inconsistencies or hidden motives, trying to piece together what really happened.
Exactly, and don't be afraid to ask questions. You know what information is missing, what doesn't make sense, what new lines of inquiry do these documents open up.
And most importantly, remember that this is an ongoing process of discovery and interpretation. There may not be any easy answers or definitive conclusions.
That's right. History is complex, and these assassinations are no exception. There are bound to be differing interpretations and perspectives, and that's part of what makes this so fascinating.
So as we conclude this deep dive, we encourage you to embrace the mystery, to engage with the evidence, and to continue to seek a deeper understanding of these pivotal moments in American history. Who knows what secrets these documents might hold, or what impact they might have on our understanding of the past.
And perhaps as we grapple with these enduring questions, we might even gain a clearer perspective on the present and the challenges we face as a nation today.
Well, thank you for joining us on this journey through history. And as always, remember, stay curious, stay engaged, and keep asking questions.